Hello, my little Luxxes. Welcome to another episode of Luxxy Charms, and I'm your host, cosplayer Charsie Luxxx. Today we are doing another horror movie review. Welcome to the month of September, where we are going to be representing the theme of clowning around. And what a perfect month to be talking about clowns. We are just into the spooky season. We're coming upon Halloween, and on top of that, we are getting a new Killer Clowns from Outer Space video game coming out, and we are also getting the next Terrifier movie coming out as well. So lots of things to get excited about for clowns, especially evil clowns. Although to some people, they might think that clowns are always evil and scary. In fact, I'm pretty sure my best friend Kayla will not be able to watch any of these episodes or videos because she is petrified of clowns. And I mean completely petrified of clowns, to where it literally makes her curl up into the fetal position to where she can't even function. So I am not even going to suggest for her to watch any of these episodes. The movie that we are going to be talking about is the 2012 film called Stitches. And if you can't tell by my makeup, it is a little bit on theme for Stitches the Clown. And always, as a friendly courtesy, this is your spoilers alert if you have never seen the movie Stitches. It is streaming on Tubi right now. I like to watch a lot of things that at the current time that I post the episode, that there is something where it's free to stream in order to watch these movies. So if you have not seen Stitches and you would like to watch it before watching my movie review of it, please, it is free to stream on Tubi. So what made me land on this film? As I stated in one of my, actually probably just the last episode that I had done for Luxxy Charms, was I had talked about, I love talking about films that not a lot of people talk about, and bringing up these movies that I enjoy. Granted, I'm not the typical for the norm, that there are a lot of horror films that I enjoy that most people would never even consider or even think about. And so I am bringing up the conversation and the subject of talking about this film. And of course, I will open up this movie review by talking about the cast that is a part of this film. You have Ross Noble as Stitches the Clown, Tommy Knight, who plays Tom, which is kind of convenient since his name is Tommy, Shane Murray Cochran as Vinny, and we're gonna put in a little blurb right now saying I apologize if I butcher some names here, and these are gonna be a lot of unique names as well, so I apologize if I butcher them. Gemma Leah Devereaux as Kate, and you may actually recognize her name due to the fact that she is from the popular show The Tudors, and this is her debut film. Thomas Kane Byrne as Bulger, Egon McQueen as Richie, or is it Effin McQueen as Richie, Rosen Barron as Sarah, Hugh Mulhern as Paul, Lorna Dempsey as Mary, Gemma Curran as Jenny, Valerie Spellman as Tom's mom, and there is an entire cast of the same characters, but them when they were young characters as well. And we'll go more into details about that when I talk about the plot synopsis of why you have each and every one of the characters as a young character as well. So then you have Ryan Burke as young Tom, Kellyanne Coughlin as young Sarah, Kevin Smith as young Paul, Callum Maloney as young Bulger, Gerald Ahern as young Vinny, Harry Bahan as young Richie, Lelia Stack as young Kate, and then we also have Carl Shields as the boss clown. The director of this film is Connor McMahon. I am butchering that name horribly. Connor McMahon. And writers is also Connor McMahon and David O'Brien. At least I can say O'Brien correctly, so I am so sorry if I butcher some of those names. And the reason why a lot of those names are unique and actually very beautiful, unique names is because this was filmed over in Ireland. So this is an Irish horror film on top of that. So I get more entertainment from this one as well because it's a different culture compared to what we are used to over here in America. So it is more entertaining for me to watch different interpretations of horror films to where over here we think we have to be flashy, more gore. I mean, there's a lot of gore in this film, I will give it that, but I enjoy the fact that this is different than what I am used to. I enjoy films from England, from Ireland, Scotland. I especially enjoy horror films from over in that region. Also on IMDb where it says more films like this. You have Clown and you have Terrifier, and I think Stitches and Art would get along very, very well, or they would hate each other. They'd be eternal enemies, or they would be best friends. Which do you think they would be? So I am going to read the plot synopsis that is up on IMDb to give you the quick overview of this film. And of course it starts off with warnings, spoilers. Stitches, starring funny man Ross Noble, is the black comedy horror which tells the story of jaded Richie Grindle, the sleaziest clown working the children's party circuit in Ireland. Arriving late to one birthday, his timing is off, the bratty kid's a nightmare, and a prank goes horribly wrong. He falls on a kitchen knife and goes to that big top in the sky. Years later, the same nasty kids attend another more grown-up bash. Little do they know, thanks to a black magic clown cult, Stitches will be the uninvited guest of honor, seeking revenge on those responsible for his untimely death. Laughs and gore combine in this twisted tale, which also sees some fantastic performances from its young and upcoming cast that includes Tommy Knight from Doctor Who and Gemma Lee Devereaux from The Tudors. The tagline in this film is "You'll die laughing," although I think another tagline that could have gone along with this was "Is everybody happy?" because that seemed to be one of Stitch's favorite lines to say to everybody, especially when he was murdering them one by one. Now to kind of go into my more thorough overview of the film, just to kind of give my grittiness of it and how much I wanted to basically talk about this horror movie that people don't talk about. So bringing forward the conversation about it, and that Stitches, who's also been rated as one of the top 10 scariest clowns out there in horror films, we should be talking about him a little bit more. And how this film opens up and starts is that Stitches the clown is supposed to be doing a party for Tommy, or Tom, and for his birthday, and he shows up late, and all these kids are a bunch of brats, like spoiled, bratty kids. I can't imagine acting the way that these kids acted for this clown. I mean, he sucked. We will flat out be honest. One, he showed up late to the party. Two, he's very rude, especially when he showed up and was condescending with the mom. And three, he just couldn't do anything. He was sloppy. But at the same time, these kids should not have acted the way that they did. And that mother shouldn't have left. Like, she left the clown alone with all these kids. Maybe because of everything that's been going on in our time, especially over here in America, that most parents are too afraid to just leave some random adult alone with their kids. But granted, this was from 2012. Times have kind of changed over 10 years, so holy crap, this is a 10-year-old film now. So anyway, continuing on, Stitches is doing a terrible job at this party, and these kids that are being a bunch of brats decide to start pranking him. And in doing the prank, they tie his shoes and they chuck a ball at him, and he ends up tripping because his shoes are tied. And unfortunately, in his fall, he lands on a knife that is sitting in the dishwasher. And you get Stitches, the clown, who has the unfortunately untimely death. The unfortunate untimely death. And it's probably one of the best, well, I shouldn't say it's one of the best scenes in the film, because there are a lot of great scenes in this movie, especially a ton of amazing, awesome kills. But this beginning scene kind of sets the tone. That's probably a better way of putting it. That it sets the tone for the film, and that you can tell just how gritty and gory and in-depth they are going to be with these kills. And how extreme they can get too. Foreshadowing? Maybe. And it's also kind of a nice little thing to add a note in there that one of the things that happens before the clown shows up, there's a scene where the kids are outside and they kind of quote unquote reenact the death of Stitches before he gets there. And it's kind of like a foreshadowing of showing you what was to come. There is a kid that he trips over something, there's a ball thrown at his head, and then another kid gets hit with the ball, and it gets hit in the left eye. The same eye that Stitches gets his eye taken out with a knife. So I thought that was kind of a neat thing when I was reading and researching about it, that I'm like, so I didn't notice it right away, but of course with reading it and everything, I finally, when I went back to watch the movie, I'm like, nice. I didn't take note of that before, so I thought that was pretty cool. So then you lead into several years later to where it's Tom's birthday again, but they're all teenagers at this point in time. And Tom's mom is out for the weekend. Something that was work related that she had to go. So Tom has the entire house to himself, and his friends keep trying to talk him into having a birthday party and having a big bash, especially with alcohol and everything else involved because the mother's not around. So what better opportunity to have a big house party, an unsupervised house party. Of course, from the past that had happened with Tom and Stitches the clown dying at his party, he hasn't had one since, but because his friends kind of talk him into the idea of, hey, why don't you invite Kate along, the girl that he likes, that he hasn't really talked to since the incident had happened at his party. So this gives him the courage to have a party, and he invites this girl Kate over. Of course, you have the bullies that are there. It was characters Paul and Sarah that they end up becoming bullies when they are teenagers. Granted, they were technically bullies when they were kids too. They all were bullies when they were kids. But Paul and Sarah are kind of the focus of being the actual true bullies when they're at school, because they bully Tom into basically doing their homework for them, tease him, make fun of him, and they invite themselves to Tom's party, of course, because everybody's invited to this big bash except for them, so they take it upon themselves to basically torture Tom because he did invite them. But why would he want the people who knee him in the balls to come to his house? I mean, who likes that? So you move to the point to where it's time for the party. Everybody starts showing up. Tom's getting nervous and he's waiting for Kate to show up because she said that she was going to come. So unfortunately, he ends up taking an edible to try and calm his nerves, something that has the devil's lettuce in it, and doesn't realize that the amount that he takes equals the equivalent of, I think the one friend said like 40 joints. I don't know, it was kind of a ridiculous amount. So this poor kid is completely high off his ass by the time Kate finally shows up. So then you have the bullies who decide to show up as well, while Paul comes dressed up as a clown. So while poor Tom is high and hallucinating and everything else that is going on, he is freaking out. So of course everybody's pissed off at Paul and Sarah, and they think that they are right assholes, because they are assholes. But most of these people are still kind of jerks and not really likable characters. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being a teenager. Like for Vinny's character, he's very horny and everything, and then you have Richie, he's kind of the same line as Richie, where he's being an obnoxious dick, taking pictures of girls, kind of talking down to them. But you kind of are introduced to all these characters to where it turns into the whole idea of teen screams. And I grew up that when I first started enjoying horror films, my favorite ones to watch were teen screams. Of course, I was a teenager then, so it was kind of a perfect idea, a perfect reason why I would enjoy teen screams. This one's on that mark where you're excited for the kills. You want to see how these bratty, horrible teenagers die one by one. You kind of got to step back to the beginning point, to when Stitches had died. There is a clown cult, apparently, and kind of an idea of that they kind of have a tradition of, if a clown doesn't finish a party, they have unfinished business. So they tell young Tom that he's got trouble coming in the future because Stitches has unfinished business, and since he didn't finish the party, he'd be coming back. Which is probably why future Tom was always on edge about everything and freaking out, which he rightfully had every right, which he had every right to feel that way, because of course, down the line, Stitches does come back from the dead, and it's because of this party is exactly why he comes back. So Stitches rise up from the grave, so now we kind of have a fun zombie clown idea, except he's not really technically looking like a zombie. He's a dead clown, back to life, and he's here to have a good time. And so you get these epic kills one by one. The only kill I cannot stand in the entire film, which I'm like this for all horror movies, I hate it when they kill the pets. I could care less how many people you kill, how you kill them. Go after the people. But you can leave the cats and the dogs out of it. I really, really wish that they would. So it's the one scene in the whole entire film that I skip. And it's an easy one to skip because I know exactly when it's going to happen. But they do kill the cat. So warning to anybody, unless you're not watching this before watching it. Regardless. Warning, Kitty does get it in this film. And I kind of have learned over time that obviously if I see a cat or a dog, that I know more than likely they're going to end up dying. But I hate it. I hate that cliche that horror films do. Just leave the animals alone. But other than that one, all the kills in this one are epic and fantastic. And I don't think there's a single one that I can't say, because it's one of those things where I want to be like, oh, this was my favorite kill. No, wait, this one was my favorite kill. No, this was my favorite kill. I mean, Paul's death is hilarious. Sarah's death is epic. Death by umbrella, anybody? You have Richie's death that is, if you're not laughing at that one, you don't have a dark sense of humor. I guess I can put it that way. If you are not laughing at the kills in this film, you do not have a dark sense of humor, and you might not want to watch it if you don't have a dark sense of humor. That's another warning. I'm trying to learn to have that happy medium of not giving away too many spoilers when I give my reviews, but giving enough details, especially going into the overview of talking about something, especially when we can move to my thoughts of this one. So, what are my thoughts of this movie? Well, I, of course, enjoy this one. I love dark humor, horror. I love cheesy horror. If we haven't figured that out by now, don't know what to tell ya. And like I said before, some of my original favorite horror films were teen screams. So this kind of mixes into that element. You have the dark humor, you have the ridiculousness, especially with Stitches the Clown and his one-liners, and the kills are fantastic and awesome. So yeah, this is a fun horror movie, and it's hilarious, and I like it a lot. It's definitely up there for my clown films that I will enjoy watching, and I will give one of the kills away that is hilarious. It makes me think of ice cream. You scream, we all scream for some ice cream. Bulger's death in this, where Stitches the Clown is literally scooping his brain out with an ice cream scoop. Yeah, that, whoever thought of that? Yeah, you've got a dark mind, sir, or madam. But it's fantastic. So I guess I have a dark mind too. So then that brings us into moving into, do I recommend this film? And yes, I do recommend this film. This is a fun one. And especially this time of year. I mean, come on, we're in spooky season, and I think we've officially turned into, especially thanks to customer service, because I fully blame them now. Everybody couldn't wait to put out holiday decorations and everything. We've kind of brushed over Thanksgiving over the years, and let's face it, I already see Christmas stuff out already now. So guess what? We're in spooky season already, so we have 2 months of Halloween. That's okay with me, because there are some people out there that are putting out the Christmas stuff long before Halloween's even over, which I don't get it. I really don't. But anyway, so I recommend this film, especially right now, this time of year. It's a hilarious, dark comedy horror movie with clowns, and come on, we have the Killer Clowns video game, we have the new Terrifier coming out. Why not just make it a whole entire clown month, especially like what I'm doing right now for clowning around, and put Stitches into your lineup for your movies that you are watching, and I highly recommend this one. Also wanted to give some trivia facts that I had found online while researching and everything. And one of the things that I thought was really cool was that the medication that Tommy takes to relieve anxiety is called Hypnosil, which that should sound familiar, especially if you're a fan of this film that I'm about to bring up. The same name as the medication used to suppress dreams in the Nightmare on Elm Street series. Because as soon as I started reading that, I'm like, hold up, I know that. I know exactly what that is. And then diving into the information and the facts, I'm like, okay, that's why that's familiar. Duh, considering Freddy Krueger is my favorite slasher. I should have been quicker to remember that little fact when he was holding his medication. Another fun fact, when Stitches is driving to first go to the kids' party, you can see his car, and his car is kind of stitched together because it's falling apart, and the left headlight is got a big X mark in it, which just so happens the same thing ends up happening to Stitches, and because of how the knife cuts him on his face, he will end up looking just like his car. So there's all these little hidden Easter eggs at the beginning of the film between his car kind of giving that hint, and when the kids were playing outside, there was that little hint as well. Little brats. It's all their fault. And Daniel Radcliffe was originally offered the part for Tom, and of course we know that he didn't take it. And Quentin Tarantino was one of the original people they had offered the part of Stitches to, and apparently Mark Hamill almost took it when it was offered to him. I didn't find out what if happened, that if he had another job lined up. I'm trying to think 2012 what he would have been doing, but we didn't end up with a Mark Hamill as Stitches, which that would have been hilarious and entertaining. But I'm not gonna lie, I am also glad that he didn't take the offer, because Ross Noble is Stitches. I love the way that he played the character, and his persona in real life really is the fact and the idea of he loves to creep people out, and that he has this feeling that if he hasn't left somebody feeling creeped out, he hasn't done his job right. So that little bit of information and persona that he has, he works very well for playing the character of Stitches, and for the gory deaths, the one-liners, the zingers that he gives. I really can't see anybody else playing Stitches. Yes, it would be fun to see Mark Hamill play a clown character, but he'd have to play another one because Ross Noble is Stitches. And I'm gonna keep his name close by because I'm gonna butcher it. Connor McMahon? I'm so sorry I'm butchering it. That he actually was a extra party goer in one of the scenes. So I'm gonna have to see if I can figure out which one it is. And I wanted to share one of the top reviews for this film, and they had wrote, surprisingly good. I went to the cinema to see Sinister, but it was full, so we went and saw Stitches instead. I'm so glad we did. This film was classic. I expected a horror, but I wasn't at all prepared for how much it would make me smile. Ross does a brilliant job bringing his character to life, and the story and the kids wrapped around the concept are just tacky enough to reek of stereotype, but just different enough to keep you entertained and smiling, such as Bulger doing the splits at the gym, or the bully actually being the only character in a stable, functional relationship. Brilliant film, a lovely surprise to what would have otherwise been a disappointing evening. And I think that review sums it up perfectly, and I actually give them huge props for the fact that they would have, I mean, most people would go to see a movie, and if they couldn't see it, they'd just be disappointed. I know I've been there before, but you can sometimes end up going to a film and then be completely surprised by how good it actually could be. And that makes sense now that I'm thinking about it, that if Stitches came out at the same time that if Stitches came out at the same time Sinister did, that more people would have been interested in going to that movie. But I mean, how can you not appreciate a clown film? 2012. Still can't believe this movie's already 10 years old. In fact, to think about the fact that the cast that were the young kids from the original first party, that now they could play the teenagers for the next part of the film. That's a weird concept to think about. But to wrap up my thoughts about this film, as we've stated, that I enjoy this film, I like it a lot. It's an epic killer clown film that I feel that any horror fan of dark horror, you would enjoy this one. This is a good one. And like I always say, let me know in the comments down below, have you seen this one? Do you like this one? What do you think of it? And do you enjoy teen screams as well? Do you enjoy epic kills where people get blown up like a balloon animal? Yeah. So, as always, thank you so much for joining me here on the Luxxxy Charms. If you are brand new here and you like what you saw, please don't forget to like and to subscribe to this channel. I have been going more on themes for the month, and that the original film that I was going to be talking about, of course, was going to be Killer Clowns. That is going to be coming into the near future. My husband was not feeling well, and I wanted to do a joint effort commentary of talking about that film. And I know he does enjoy that one, even though he doesn't enjoy a lot of horror films. He doesn't mind Killer Clowns. How do you not like Killer Clowns anyway? And if you would like to follow me on my other channels or my other social media, you can follow me on my Twitter for Charsie Luxxx with 3 X's. You can also follow me on my Instagram for Charsie87, or on my other YouTube channel with my friend DC called Little Channel of Horrors. Hopefully you are all having a very epic day, a very epic week, and that everything is going splendidly. And as always, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your afternoon, the rest of your evening, the rest of your night, whatever time of the day it is. I hope you have a good one. Bye! But wanted to also give some trivia. Daniel Radcliffe was originally... Oh, excuse me. If I can find him, I will blip it in here somewhere. If not, I'll just remove that part from the dialogue. Little brats. It's all their fault.